Welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Hey, gang, welcome back to the Beacon House Podcast. Thanks for coming back with us. We got a very, very special episode for you today. And before we get into it, I want to introduce everybody. Again, I'm your host, Spence. And this time, instead of sitting next to me, tell them who it is.
It's Grace Steele. I'm having the wonderful pleasure of getting to actually sit on the same side as you.
First time a woman's ever said that.
That's not true.
Thanks, babe. So anyway, and then we have a returning guest. One of our best friends, like, again, we've referred to him as Knoxville's Butch Walker, fucking one of my best friends, a singer-songwriter extraordinaire, Brandon Hudson. Say hey.
Hello.
And Brandon is here. We've got a lot of big announcements coming up. But Brandon, before we get into that, I'm so fucking excited about this. You've brought a friend with you today, Brandon.
I did.
Why don't you tell the audience who you brought?
Well, he may be considered a fine banger of skanks. And he is the heartbeat for Smooth Sailor.
The smoothest of sailors.
Oh, the smoothest of them. Mr. Andy Campbell.
Also the boogieingest of nights.
Yeah. He boogies the nights.
I boogie nights.
We boogied at night.
And the most stacked actor.
He stacks them high.
He stacks them high.
He stacks them real high.
Oh, hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Campbell is here. At long last.
Yeah.
Very good.
Pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
We are so happy to have you here, man. Like, did you gig this weekend?
I did. What did I do? Played Boogie Nights in Johnson City.
Yeah.
And then Smooth Sailor at Scruffy City.
And didn't Ben sit in with
Ben
Smooth?
Neller was there. So, yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting in for Chris?
For Chris, yeah.
Chris is an old buddy of mine, too. Like, weirdly enough, Chris Canada and I, went to, second grade Cedar Bluff together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Go Giants.
Yeah, go Giants, yeah. Yeah, fucking one. Well, I remember, and we were bros in second grade, and then, we didn't see each other for a whole bunch of years, and then I worked at Guitar Center for a while. And Chris came in, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm a guitar player." I was like, "I'm a guitar player." Well, we share the same back. And they didn't see each other for a couple of years. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude.
Chris
and then he was in Smooth Sailor.
So
super
cute.
good.
I like him.
That's so sweet, y'all.
Super good. And he turns out a bunch of friends of mine now that I didn't even know were musically inclined were his students. Took lessons from him and stuff. And they talked about what a fabulous teacher he was. And dude, Chris is a solid fucking guy, man.
Yeah, he knows a lot about music too. You can go down the rabbit hole real quick with him.
Yeah,
like you, or just most musicians that I know. But some people are,
Yeah. Well, and you and I have done that. You and I have had big musical
times.
conversations.
Yeah.
I think it's weird when you get a musician or somebody that's into music that doesn't like talking about it, and they're those guys. They're just like, whatever.
You've heard of a lot of obscure stuff, which I always dig. I think me and you were talking about like Richie Cotson one time, and nobody'd heard of Richie Cotson.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I mean, if you don't know, he's one of those dudes. Vocals, guitar playing.
It's not fair. It's almost not. He's such a phenomenal guitar player. He had done nearly everything you could do on the guitar. I mean, and I'm not kidding. Like the limits of human physicality, and so he just stopped using a pick and kind of reinvented his whole style with fingers. I mean, it was just. I actually saw him in Nashville one time when he was transitioning away from the pick, and so he played half the show with a pick. Or I take it back. He started the show with fingers, and when his fingers got tired, you could see him kind of shaking his hand. He got the pick out of his pocket, and it was just insanity. And I was like, God, dude.
And he can sing pretty good.
Oh, yeah. He's got a Chris Cornell kind of feel to his vocal.
Yeah.
I feel like him and Ian Thornley from Big Wreck are also kind of the same kind of package. Mm-hmm. Huge vocals, huge guitar.
Well, so Grace, I told you, so Grace, you're in
Spotlight.
You're in the hot seat for you're here with a bunch of music nerds today. So you've done your homework, I was told, and prepared a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you got? You got anything? Do you have any fun questions for us? Musicians love to be asked questions.
See, that's difficult because my parents are musicians, so it's like, God, put me on the spot. What kind of questions I got? Well, one, I have no idea who y'all are talking about. So who's that?
Richie Cotson.
Yeah.
Check him out. It's just go down a.
You can't save me.
Well, that's a cool one. He originally, I think, he replaced Paul Gilbert in Mr. Big, if you remember Mr. Big.
I do,
and then,
yeah.
And then he replaced C.C. DeVille in Poison. And then I think
Slept with the drummer's girlfriend.
Yeah, he had an affair with Ricky Rocket's wife,
Man,
and
why are
then he got
musicians-
kicked out of the band because
Kicked
of
out
that.
of Poison.
Why are musicians doing all sort of fidelity? Like, what's happening there? Like, can you
There's-
answer on that?
There's somewhere there's a discussion about
And
having
it's like allowed.
unlimited
and it's allowed
access
for
to
musicians to be like that.
Well, he got kicked out of the band, so he got punished for it. It's
true.
at least. So there is that.
Did he
but
start his own band?
well, he's got it seems like he's got like 30 or 40 solo albums or something.
He was on Shrapnel Records with a bunch of those shredder guys like Paul Gilbert and fucking you name it, Marty Friedman, Jason Becker, all those guys. And Richie was like one of the youngest guys that they signed. And then he started singing. Like his second album, he's like, I want to sing. And nobody had really ever done that on Shrapnel. And so he put out this real bluesy record called Fever Dream, which was still kind of shreddy, but that voice was there. And that's where I like caught on. I was just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And then he left Shrapnel Records and got signed by David Geffen. And he put out that Motherhead's Family Reunion record, which was just like, it sounded like Lenny Kravitz just shredding. It was nuts, man. And that was kind of where he sort of got into the limelight a little bit. I think that's where he maybe went. He was doing that right before Poison, maybe. I don't know. But he had a very bizarre career. Then he did an album with Stanley Clarke. He did a bunch of fusion stuff. Like it was strange. He was just all over. He did a traditional blues record.
Man,
yeah,
y'all
that's
are
got
like
some weird
super
parts.
excited.
Yeah.
I love this. Like y'all are just smiling as you're talking.
Well, dude,
this
they're-
is great. Like I love when I get to like observe people in their element talking about like their shit. Like this is their thing, what they know about, and all y'all just sitting there. Like even Brandon's just over here. He's been a little bit more quiet than y'all, but he's still like smiling and he knows exactly what y'all are saying. You're over here just like laying
yeah.
knowledge. Spencer, you're giddy.
I know.
Like a fucking little Asian girl going to school.
You don't have to get all racist about it. Shit.
I mean, racist. I'm just trying to think of the cutest thing
He's covered-
possible.
yeah, he covered
like
his
that
mouth a
little
few
Asian
times.
girl
Oh,
that's
really?
like super excited.
Okay,
like
yeah.
you're super
Don't
stoked.
backpedal.
I love it. I'm not backpedaling.
Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining, Grace.
Man, I'll piss on your leg and just say it's piss.
She will. She will. See previous episode.
Jellyfish.
Yeah, like I've heard it all.
Okay,
So like,
okay.
but my thing, so like I've heard before someone talking about like the kick and the snare and like all of it. So doesn't it get better over the years? Like the older it is, like the better it is. Like so my dad is the upright bass and he prefers old. Like he's like the older
like
it is.
the way it sounds.
Yeah, the way
like
it sounds, everything. He's like, he just likes it better. So that's my question for like a drum set. Is that like, because I have a friend who uses the same, like he's a professional drummer and he's had it for like 20 years and he'd prefer the sound to that drum set than like a newer one or one that he has.
I think it just depends on the context of what you're going for. Like
Yeah.
if I was doing like a metal record, I wouldn't want like a bunch of vintage drums on it.
Yeah.
But for
know.
jazz or
Jazz or old rock or any kind of throwbacky thing or even, but yeah, I think it just depends on the context.
I hear a lot
Okay.
of guys talk about like Ludwig stuff from the 70s. Like I hear
Yeah.
that a lot. And of course I don't know.
Talking about the 3-ply drums
Yeah.
with the reinforcement hoops and all that. Yeah, it's like,
And the different kind of high glue that they used back then.
man, I want.
who knows?
I would like thank you. I really want one of those old kits. There's actually a really cool drum company called A&F Drums right now that are doing really cool stuff.
Really?
Kind of like that. Very kind of throwbacky kind of
Yeah.
drums, and they all look very steampunkish too.
Fuck.
Because
Cool.
they make like all brass or all copper drums.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like the whole thing, and then they put
That
them
looks
in.
expensive.
They're unbelievable. Like I can't afford them, but they put them in oxidation bath, and so they're all patinaed. They look like Mad Max drums.
Jesus
They're
Christ.
very cool.
Man.
I tried taking drum lessons one time
Yeah.
for one of my dad's buddies.
Do you remember who it was?
Yeah, John Whitlock. Shout out to
Oh,
John
yeah,
Whitlock.
yeah.
Love him.
Shout
Great
out,
drummer.
special shout out from me to John Whitlock because we used to work at Guitar Center together and we called him Handsome Johnny.
I bet.
Handsome Johnny.
He's
if you're-
still handsome.
Handsome Johnny, if you're listening to this, I'll never forget that time that you pushed Brian Lee off of the string cage.
No, but
Story for another time. Story for another time.
so I remember. So I was like, I guess I was like 12, and like I wanted to learn how to play the drums. Like my dad had like every instrument in our basement in the music room, like everything, and like he had the drums, and like everyone played, and like it was the drummer who was always like the hot one to me. right? Like 12-year-old girl, whatever. And I was like, man, like I want to learn how to fucking play the drums. So my dad was like, you're serious about it? And I was like, I'm serious. So I saved up money, and he was like, all right, we're going to get you a lesson. John Whitlock was teaching at the time. And this was like in the 90s or like this was like in early 2000. And I remember going to this lesson with John Whitlock, and I feel like he got so frustrated with me because I could not work both sides of my brain. Like I could not I just couldn't do it. And I'm a ballet dancer, so like I thought I could naturally just be able to do that because I'm able to work different parts of my body at the same time. But I could not get the hang of it. So then he sent me home with some homework, didn't practice, came back, just sucked, and I gave up, and I felt really bad. And I've always been super embarrassed with him because I was like, man, he must have like really been super frustrated with me, and I'm my dad's daughter.
Sure you're
so
not the first person
damn.
he ever taught, you know.
Yeah.
I know. It was like an embarrassment.
This one
it was
chick
like,
Yeah, no,
has no ability whatsoever.
I just felt like I failed. Like I just failed, and then I like let my dad down. And,
Dang.
It was like I remember my dad was just like, stick to dancing.
I should have had a boy.
oh, man. Do you play anything now?
Do I?
Do you-
No,
yeah.
I played the piano when I was younger. My dad, I know a couple of notes on a bass, but my hands are so small that like reaching them on like a regular.
Yeah,
It's
instead of
just
like
so
a quarter
hard.
size
Yeah.
or something like that. would be-
I can do like your basic drum, like
yeah.
that's just it. I've been told I was tone deaf my whole life, but actually I found out recently, like I actually can sing. My mom's a singer.
Sick.
But besides that, no, I don't really play anything. I can play the recorder.
That's something.
Fancy.
Yeah.
That's fancy. Well,
Yeah.
so speaking of drumming, let's get into it a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Taylor Hawkins, man.
Ugh.
I know that's a
Yeah.
tough subject.
R.I.P.
Yeah, man. I'll say just from a guitar player's perspective, like, man, I thought he was. He pretty much represented everything I admire in rock drummers. He had a certain kind of finesse. There was just something about the way energy.
Yeah.
But he was like what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Multi-instrumentalist.
not just that, but like he
Virtuoso.
knew like not a lot of drummers are like taught to know how to play jazz. I mean, jazz is a very complicated genre of music.
Yeah,
to
a
be
lot
able
of
to
rock-
learn. And
like
so
a lot
like
of
a
rock
lot of
guys.
like rock stars that do drumming don't necessarily can sit and hang
Yeah.
with jazz players.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying from like in my experience,
different-
it's a
different
different,
idiom.
it's a whole
Yeah.
different thing. And like, who's Gary Norvok?
Oh,
right,
Novak.
Novak, yeah, he's like super close to him. Like, not a lot of drum. Like, that's something. And like, he gave us like shout out. So like to have that respect from like that community of it. Like, I would say, and I bet David Grohl would say it, that he's a better drummer than him.
Well, man, I'll tell you. So I've got a little Taylor Hawkins story, also from back at the Guitar Center days when I worked with Whitlock.
Handsome Johnny.
Handsome Johnny. We have some stories, man. It was nuts back then. Anyway, another day. But we were working in there one day, and I think I was with Tater from 10 Years, former guitarist from 10 Years. He worked there. And we were just kind of on the floor. It was a slow day, nothing big going on. And fucking Taylor Hawkins comes walking right in with this girl who looked like a fucking supermodel, you know.
Here in town.
Here in town.
Was she
cool.
blonde?
Blonde. Girlfriend at the time. I mean, like, she looked like somebody from Baywatch.
Perfect.
But they were in town because they were touring with the Chili Peppers. And at the time, they were opening for the Chili Peppers. So this would have been like 2000, 2001, maybe, whatever. And he just comes strolling right in. And I was like, hey, man, that's the drummer for the Foo Fighters. And we were like, no, is it? And he comes right over, and sure enough, it was him. We were like, and he was so fucking nice, so fucking cool, really, really funny. And he was, I don't know, I think they were just killing time. But he was looking around, and he saw this miniature guitar that he wanted, and he wanted to get a little bitty amp. And he's like, can you guys pack this up for me? He goes, will that thing actually play? And I was like, I mean, we'll give it a shot. And I kind of tuned it up and played on it a little bit. And he was like, that'll do. And so we were boxing. He goes, I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to go to the drum room. And he goes over to the drum room. And so up to this point, I didn't know a whole lot about Taylor Hawkins, except he was the funny one in the videos, like the video for Everlong. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, that guy, that's funny. He's always the girl, and he's always, you know, whatever.
He's a good looking dude.
Good looking dude. And, but I didn't understand how, like, that was one of the most coveted percussion gigs on the planet at the time, you know, to replace Grohl. on drums in his own
man,
band.
I can't imagine having to do that.
Yeah.
Just have him turn around and look at
You know, he offered for that job. Like, he was doing the solo act for Alanis Morissette, and he offered.
That's the first time I ever saw him.
Yeah, so he offered. He didn't want to do he didn't want to be a drummer for a solo act, even though Alanis Morissette was massive at that time.
Right.
So when David was like, literally just called him as an acquaintance, just being like, "Hey, dude," and he's like, "What about me?" He's like, "I want to be I want to be in a rock and roll band." He's like, "I'm not trying to do this." So it's like the fact that he came on. I mean, Dave. Everyone's like said like David is one of the best drummers out there, right? But
he's got a thing that there's a reason people say that he's got a.
There is a specific way
he
he sounds when he
just
plays.
rock, man.
Yeah, but like when it comes to it, I mean, he can even acknowledge that Taylor was a better drummer than him.
I feel like Taylor was a more advanced musician, perhaps.
Kind of more rounded.
Yeah.
Of a drummer.
Well, again, we knew the guy was funny and we knew he was cool. And we obviously knew he was a capable drummer, but like nobody really knew, like, does this guy really have like chops? Like, think of the guys that were in line for that gig. I mean, really, like, there had to have been everybody from Terry Bozzio to like Vinnie Colaiuta, like guys like that like would do anything to get that gig, even if they weren't. That wasn't really their wheelhouse. And so, again, no judgment. We were just kind of like, "Fuck, that's a guy. He's good. That's the luckiest drummer in North America or something to have that gig." And he goes into the drum room, and he must have just said, "Oh, hey, what's this? Maple Kit? Great." He sits down. The sound that came out of that room, and I shit you not, it was unbelievable. I mean, it wasn't. It was big. It was crazy. It was chops. It was nuts. And my jaw dropped open, and I was like, "Oh, I get it." I mean, and to hear that guy play like 12 feet away, it was insanity, and super like no ego, no pretense, no anything, and he was just having fun. I mean, the guy was literally just killing time. He sat down and absolutely liquefied this drum set. I've never seen him play like that on TV or anything. It was insanity. And I was just like, holy shit. And I had that weird thing. I had the fear, like you're out in the desert at night, like I was like I'm in the presence of
a god,
a predator or something, like there's a superior life form in the room,
The bushes burning.
I mean, but that's kind of like what it is a superior life form.
Fuck
is
yeah.
when you get to experience and you get to see that up close, and it's like someone who's like, that's something that it's like amazing to see. I mean, it's a few things that like people can do.
It's a cool.
Really?
Well, and what was the coolest thing he did that for about 3 minutes and then just put the sticks down, got up, and he was like, "Hey, is that miniature guitar ready?" And he came out and talked to us for 30 minutes about the movie Office Space. And they had apparently just gotten it on DVD and they were watching it on the bus, and he was over the moon about Office Space. He was, and the girl was too. The girl was like, "Oh my God, do you see the part about the stapler?" And they were so fucking cool.
Put strychnine in the guacamole.
Dude, it was amazing. And he was the nicest cat, and he wasn't showing off. Like, he was
usually
it was amazing to meet him. Just like one of the nicest people I ever met, regardless of his status or anything. Super fucking cool guy.
You're lucky.
And I was super, super lucky. And then a couple years later, he went and started a band with my friend Mick Murphy called Birds of Satan. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't remember it. A lot of people don't know about it. But it was kind of a 70s proggy throwback. And Taylor sang everything and played all the drums. Mick played all the guitars. And they had another guy.
He's a really great singer, too.
Yeah.
Like watching him do any of the Queen stuff, like he nails the all the inflections.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it sounds like I've listened to this
dude.
lot.
Dude, he definitely had that Roger Taylor thing down. The ability to step out from behind. I mean, like Roger stayed behind the drum kit, just like Phil, but
he
like
could
Phil
sing his
Collins,
ass off.
but he could fucking sing. Yeah. So can Andy Campbell.
I feel bad. I
mean,
feel bad for
Andy would know a thing or two about drummers that sing.
He knows what we're saying.
But I really feel bad about like Roger Taylor, like never getting just because you had to. Well, It's kind of the same thing. Like, I have to. I have to compete with Freddie Mercury,
right?
And he has to compete with Dave Grohl,
right?
But I also, like, I was telling you not too long ago, I think last time we had a rehearsal, like, how similar Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins were, like, personality-wise.
Oh, yeah.
Drumming-wise, like, and that's why I feel so bad for Dave, because it's just like...
his heart's being
his brother's gone.
Yeah, I mean, his best friend's gone. But I wanted to, like, say something, because you just said, like, do you feel... Because I've heard like different sides. Do you feel that the drummer is always in competition with the lead singer? I always felt like it was the drummer who set the tone. Like it's them, like the singer needs that drummer, like them to set the pace for how things are. So I feel like the
There's
two
a lot
and
of
two.
great singers out there that have really shitty drummers.
I'm not talking about just like an ego. I'm talking like they need to be in sync with each other because they need each other.
I don't
It's like
think a
the
band
two
sounds great unless the drummer is the
greatest.
one. Yeah,
great
he
one.
needs
Yeah.
to be the great one. You know,
Yeah, I agree.
Didn't Buddy Rich say something like that? Like, you know, any band could get by with a mediocre guitar player and a mediocre
Yeah.
bass player, but a band with a mediocre drummer is going to be a mediocre band.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
right.
If you
something like
hand me
that.
a set of
Absolutely.
sticks and give me a drum kit and put Freddie Mercury in the front seat singing, that band is going nowhere. It's going fucking nowhere.
It just sunk in the Tennessee River.
It never set off.
Well, you know, I recently I listened to a Corey Wong podcast that had Satriani on it, and he was kind of asking like, like you've played with so many people, Billy Sheehan, Stu Ham, you know, like all these different drummers, Jonathan Mover, you know, fucking everybody, you know,
Chickenfoot.
Yeah, dude. And he was like, how do you prepare for that going on stage with so many different personalities and different vibes? And Satriani said, you know what, after all these years of playing live and all these, he goes, the thing I've learned is to just trust the drummer and let the drummer,
Yeah.
like, don't rush, don't push and pull the beat. Don't like try to just, he knows what he's doing.
Because the timing is with the drums. So like that's what I
Yeah.
hear with a lot of like lead singers who's, you know, the drummers and back there like, I know when cue is like, because the drummer, my drummer's got my back. That's my person, my
Yeah.
go-to, who's behind me, who's
It's a lot of pressure.
you think the lead singer is the one who's really leading it, but they're
Nope.
not. It's the drummer who's leading it. It's right
When we-
behind it. And I think that's what the important thing is.
Yeah,
It's like 'cause
it-
everyone's
yeah.
like, oh, the rock stars, the lead singer, the lead guitarist, and it's like, to me, it's like I always hear the drummer first. I always hear that bass.
What-
Like, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
like
totally.
that beat.
Yeah.
And like Andy, like when we'll have rehearsals, especially when we first started together, like I'd be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and I'd rush the song. But now it's like, if I even start to count, I just look at Andy and he's go ahead, Andy. You
As
can-
he should be, as- yeah.
and he plays it. This is the tempo. Fuckface.
Or that, or when you start something and I start that hi hat going in the
yeah,
back,
and then
you're
he
like, okay,
reels
slow
me
it
in.
down.
And it's like, Brandon's getting out of line,
Dude, I like watching drummers give cues like that. And I think that was the thing about Taylor Hawkins. Like, I think anytime I saw him on a video or something, like his cues were so big. And I just remember thinking, like, dude, if I was on stage with that guy, it would be so easy to play with him because he was all the endings had a real obvious cue and it was just real easy to follow. He just seemed like the ultimate like team player, and he was a big Buddy Rich guy from what I understand.
I mean,
that was his thing.
Who
Yeah.
isn't like when you're a drummer? I mean, it's unfair.
It was appalling every time. Just like
Oh, he's a straight murderer. I don't understand. Like I'll go back and watch some stuff. And there's a performance I watched him on the Dick Cavett show, and he comes out and he does this thing, and his right hand is just up in the air, and you still hear his left hand going. And I've rewound it so many times, going, how does he do that?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
understand how that many notes are coming out of his left hand.
just a freak show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think he even knows how. He couldn't explain it to anybody.
That's what Taylor Hawkins said about Buddy Rich. He goes, just there will never be. It was so far outside the scope of possibility to be that good. Like according to Taylor Hawkins, like there will never be another. You know, like he's Michael Jordan of drums.
I visited Buddy's grave.
Is that how you
so,
feel?
So many times, and his grave says one of a kind, and it's just like, of course.
Yeah.
So, you know, Taylor's like, he's a drummer, he's a musician, like he lives this lifestyle. He has 3 kids. First one was born in 2006. Last one was born in 2014, has a beautiful wife. I mean, ugliness, talk about it for a second, whether, you know, because I'm going to bring
You
it
have
up.
to go
'Cause I
there.
relate to this as,
Yeah.
I relate to this as like a recovering addict. He, you know, heroin addict, he overdosed. He was in a coma for 2 weeks. David was by his bedside in London, didn't leave it, you know, didn't give him any grief, wasn't
Was
like,
this-
man, fuck you.
Yeah, as soon
you're
as I
kicked out.
heard, I was like, I hope it's not.
Yeah, so I mean, but they
Was
said
this early
it's
2000s when he
this
overdosed?
is in 2001, and it was
Okay,
in
okay.
London. So it was like, and he was on heroin, and like he had a bunch of like interviews since then, and he said that he was like sober and he's clean. So like the thing is like the media always does this when like a musician or an actor of anyone of like any power dies, they're like immediately going to be like, what's that toxicology report says? Like, what does
Yeah.
that say? And it's like, yeah, he had 10 substances in his system, but how many of those were actual prescribed to him for them to say? I'm not saying he wasn't out there doing drugs. Come on, he was in fucking Columbia. He's a rock star. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're talking about, like, his heart was 2 sizes too big, and they're like, oh, it's all because of drugs. Did you know that athletes' hearts get big? And it's not uncommon for a musician or performer of his stature for their heart to be that size.
What's it after a show? Because I'm curious
Well, that's the
if
thing.
that's like if he was like
well, it doesn't just like get that big and then go back to normal size.
Yeah.
It was like that's the size that it was.
Yeah, I heard that was like congenital thing. Like he just actually had a larger.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like if you do like drugs over time, but also like if you're a drummer, y'all are all musicians. I was a dancer. Like you're going, like it's a workout. Like your heart is pumping. Like it's.
I mean,
big,
you guys are. I'm trying not to fall over usually.
So for them
just
to like
shredding.
make it like, oh, his heart was too big because he was doing cocaine and opiates were in there and benzoids and he like had a hallucinogen in there. It's like that's all bullshit. Like you don't know what he was prescribed. You don't know what hallucinogen
I think
it was.
it's a bad idea to jump to conclusions.
It is,
Absolutely.
but a lot of people are going to do that,
Of course,
and they're
yeah.
going to remember. Look at his legacy. That's not what it's there for, and I feel for him because I do relate in the sense of being a recovering drug addict and like having that stigma on your back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it sucks
Well, I
really
think-
bad, and he's too great of a person for people to be doing.
Well, it's
Yeah.
the same thing as like when Tom Petty died, when Prince died. They were all prescribed.
Fentanyl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also had sleeping pills.
Oh
things
my
to help
God!
them, you know,
they did. I remember reading the toxicology report of Tom Petty, and I
Mm-hmm.
was just like floored because it was just like a litany of things, but not all those things killed him.
No.
Yeah.
On the Taylor Hawkins thing, they put THC on there. I'm like, oh God, you know? Can
That's
you
not
imagine
what-
a rock star
Right, yeah.
who smoked weed? That did it. You know, like,
Also, man, you can.
Why? Why would
and
you put
again,
that?
he might have had weed, but also if you just take CBD, you can test positive for THC.
Sure.
Based on the panel,
You can
the
go
blood
to a-
panel.
you can
It
go-
was
you can
really
go to a
just a
concert
heart
and smell it,
complication.
yeah.
Was what it was.
It doesn't mean
it
the
could
guy
have
was-
just been anything. I mean, who knows what it was? I mean, if someone had called the paramedics because he was having chest pain, and by the time that they had arrived, he was unresponsive in his hotel room and was announced dead at the.
Yeah, that's
scene.
what I read, like that-
that's
that he
what
was-
it was. So
was
it
having
wasn't
chest
like it was
problems.
like he got fucked up and
Well, yeah.
overdosed and they just found him dead. It was like someone was with him and he called and was like, "Hey, I need help.
Well,
like I'm hurting."
If I took a Percocet for my back pain, right, and I took it today,
You'd probably be throwing up.
well, no, those things are fantastic. So, but if you take a Percocet
He
for
drinks
your
some
back
milk
pain,
first.
and then a couple days later you smoke weed, you know, have a spliff, and then maybe the next day you have a benzo to help you go to sleep. All 3 of those drugs are going to be in your system over the course of 4 days.
Yeah.
So if
And
you die
and
on
then
day
you die,
5,
yeah.
they're
That
there.
doesn't mean he did all 10.
Yeah, and then maybe he drank a little bit of booze on day
Also,
5.
the
You know,
guy's
I mean,
Yeah,
50 years fucking old. I mean, he's in fabulous shape, but he's a 50-year-old guy.
very sinewy.
Yeah, and he's
Yes.
and you got to think he's a very strong drummer. I mean, the guy didn't look like he pulled a lot of punches. Looks like he kind of went for it, and so that works on the joints over time. So he's going to have pain medicine. He's going to have things like, and you're 50
Probably
years
has
old.
anxiety. Probably
You're
takes Xanax.
touring in
Like,
South America, so you're on planes. That makes you sore. There's a good chance the guy was medicating responsibly just to tour and to be that physical. And I mean,
He probably, and I was reading, it's not uncommon for 50-year-old men and younger to have heart attack. Like it's not.
it's true.
And his heart was enlarged, not due to just drugs. It was just nobody knows why, but it was. And
It
so,
might have just been his time, dude. It may not have been anything
yeah.
he did. I think it's a mistake for anybody to point to the toxicology report as kind of any kind of an end cap on the story of like really who Taylor Hawkins was,
Yeah.
or what he does. I think that's kind of missing the point.
it is. It's totally missing the point, and it's not fair to the music industry. It's not fair to the Foo Fighters. It's not fair to his family. It's not fair to Taylor. It's not fair to the art to do that. You need to be able to separate the talent and the work from that. Like, okay, yeah, he died. This is what they're saying, but man, like, let's look at the history and
Also-
the legacy
Yeah.
he left.
Speaking of the history, the minute that the word got out, the outpouring of support and respect from literally everyone.
Elton John, Jill Biden.
I thought that was really cool. Like,
Yeah.
the whole
You don't
thing.
get that.
It wasn't like just like,
Yeah, dude.
oh, another musician dies of drugs, blah blah blah.
Everybody
It's
said the
everybody
same
was
thing.
Like,
He's sweetest guy.
great guy,
Yeah.
great
Most
drummer.
inspirational, the
Yeah.
kindest person I've ever met. He was like when we were together at the hotel in 93 or in 2007, or one time I had coffee with him in 2016, and all the stories are the sweetest guy ever, the most inspirational guy ever. Just talked to him the other day on the phone. You don't get a reputation like that if you're a
junkie.
a walking disaster.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like-
You're not
like
Nikki
you
Sixx.
don't-
like if you look back on like a guy like Lane Staley, like who walked the walk, if you will, like the entire album of Dirt is pretty much just writing about how I want to die. I'm on heroin.
Yeah.
I love that song Junkhead is all about being a
He
heroin
sang-
addict.
He's
the
saying
whole
about
thing.
the same things in Mad Season 2.
Yeah, it's
You
like
know,
the
with him and
whole
Mike
thing is
McCready,
like,
it's
and
all drug
then
addled.
he died of heroin, and you're like, well, of course he did.
And that's
you know,
sad for anyone.
it's
For
awful.
it to for that to be like what you're left as. But as like someone who's as great as him, it was amazing to see, because it was like immediately you heard the news and no one knew why he died. And like for me, like I knew he was super close to David, so I was like, he's gonna hurt. Like that's painful. Like he's gonna hurt. And then it just went to like, man, like he touched so many artists' life.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and he was just like, I mean, I was just reading about what Elton John was saying about him, what Miley Cyrus was saying. Jill Biden, the first lady, even was like, man, Bon Jovi, like all of, like, they were just,
almost anybody.
they were all
Except like
saying
right
it.
now, I don't think Dave has issued a statement. Yeah, I don't think anybody in the band has,
No.
because they're just like that.
Well, they just won 3 Grammys, right? Am I right?
They won 3 Grammys.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
None of them were there to accept,
I
which
think
is,
I
of
think they're
course,
still
you know.
just in shock.
Yeah.
And because I was immediately I was curious. I was looking at their tour dates. They have like 100 some tour dates, or 80 or some ridiculous amount of tour dates the rest of the year.
They
yeah.
canceled them all,
They
right?
they canceled them all,
Yeah.
and I mean, I get it. I really do, but I was just like, man, like
They're crushed.
I,
Like, this
I
just
wouldn't know
isn't-
what to do. Like,
Well, I mean, you've been playing with the same person, writing songs, not just playing in a
20
band.
years.
But Dave and Taylor,
At least.
were the writers. Like they set the foundation for every song the Foo Fighters wrote.
Yeah.
And then
after Color and Shape, probably.
yeah,
Like,
it was after Color and Shape.
Yeah.
I think he played half of the songs on Nothing. Was it Nothing Left to Lose? That was after Color and Shape, and then was One by One.
Yes. One by One was the one Nick did, I think.
Yeah, that was 2000,
Yeah.
2001, something like that. So, but when Dave was in Nirvana, he wasn't a part of the songwriting process. That was all Kurt.
Yeah.
And even though they were brothers and all that stuff, there was still, turmoil inside of the band. Like at one point they were going to replace Grohl, and then they changed their mind, or at least Kurt was going to. So like when Kurt died, Dave went through this thing of like, was there anything that I could have done? And then when Taylor came along, up until that point, he was replacing band members hand over fist to try to find the right fit of people. And then, boom, Taylor shows up.
Man.
And he and Taylor become brothers, So, like, you got to
They're like
imagine.
the same guy. Like,
They're the
like,
same-
like,
it's
if
It's
you
like
ever-
from
finding
the
the
same
perfect
cloth.
pair of shoes
Yeah.
on prom night. I mean, that's really what that is.
yeah, they would have
That's
gotten
a great
married.
analogy.
I mean, for me, like that's what I gotta say too.
They
but
really were. Like, you could feel the chemistry with those two guys. I remember watching them on like one of those interviews where they were talking about the Christopher Walken thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's somebody was interviewing the two of them on a couch, and he was talking about Foo Fighters, that whole thing, and
That was good.
They were getting so tickled with each other, and like Dave was going, "Well, what happened?" Taylor goes, "No, man, tell him how he said. Tell him how he said." He goes, "So, is it Foo Fighters?"
The emphasis on Foo or
And they were
Fighters.
just giggling like little kids, like
you do that so well.
Yeah, that was a
practiced
good.
it.
that was a
I'm not
good
as good
I
as
like that.
that man.
Let me hear it.
No,
That
no.
Yeah, he's got
I don't think that I do it better than Spencer, but it's pretty good.
does your mother so?
Get it so that
Man, I'm hot right now. Please stop. I'm sweating.
perspired.
Oh my
And
lord.
I never would have tried to even do that if I hadn't watched Taylor Hawkins and Dave Grohl do that back and
Well,
forth.
speaking of which, you said this earlier, but who? This might be full circle, but do you know who replaced Taylor in Alanis Morissette's band?
No.
I do, but not at the
You
top.
said it earlier.
I just said it.
Yeah, Gary Novak.
Yeah. Okay, that's right.
Yeah,
'cause he
you
asked him,
mentioned
he
that
said, "Do you
earlier, and I
want
was
it?"
like, wow,
Yeah.
does that kind of come full
So
circle?
because he
Far
offered
out.
and was like, "Do you want it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
take
he's
it."
like, I
They're
went from
super
Chick
close.
Corea to Alanis Morissette.
Jesus Christ, Chick Corea.
He also won a Grammy. By the way.
Right before that.
Really?
Yeah.
Korea the other night?
Korea, yeah, he won one.
Fucking
the other
A.
night.
Wow. I had this conversation yesterday, and I had to look it up. I was like, well, how many Grammys did Led Zeppelin win? And I started looking at it, and like most, if not all of them, were won like in the 90s for like remasters.
Weird.
So if what's the validation of a Grammy? Does that mean it's good or bad?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if it means anything. Like a lot of my favorite bands aren't even nominated for Grammys, so it doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
don't know.
point.
It's just a little disappointing because because you don't even like see it. It's just like, man,
It's kinda like you can put it
Taylor
on a-
Swift.
you put it on a
is
resume, kind of.
talented. Like she can write,
Yeah.
she can play like any music, or any instrument. She can, she has the fucking package. Like Taylor Swift, you are the bomb. I'm just sick of it. Like, I know her song and her album wasn't as good as like fucking The Weeknd's album that came out last year. You know, it's like you see like things that happen and it's like, man, she's on there. Like in Doja, I like Doja Cat. I'm not hating on her by any means, but it's like, man, like she was up for 4 different nominations. It's like, and the ones I'm looking for, I'm like, wait a minute. Why? I mean, Japanese Breakfast, the one I told you that I just learned with Roadhead. They were nominated for 2 of them, didn't win a single one. And I was like, man, they're so much better than that Olivia Rodriguez.
Well, I mean, I remember
I
back.
don't even know.
I still remember back in the day when like Jethro Tull won the Grammy over Metallica.
Oh, Metallica, yeah.
And he
yeah.
had Jethro Tull hadn't had an album out in 17 years, and like I remember
It
them
was
being.
best metal album too, wasn't it? Yeah, that's what was funny about it. Was just like,
And the next year, Metallica actually won, and I remember they went, well, we'd like to first off thank Jethro Tull for not putting another record out, but like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's kind of like the Oscars. Like, again, not to get into that, but like at some point, I think that the this far into the internet, this far into the information age, some of those award shows have kind of like, I don't know how much they really mean anymore or not. You know, like
That's what I'm saying. Like, how much
when I
did
fire up
this mean?
Spotify, it has nothing to do with who was nominated or
No,
like,
I nothing.
You know
like, I
who's
don't
never
even,
won a Grammy? Butch
Me?
Walker.
That's
Never
sad.
won.
has anything he's worked on ever won?
Again,
one?
He got 2005 for Seasons, which was a Seven Dust.
Seven Dust won a Grammy for that?
Yeah, and he got Producer of the Year for it, 2005.
For the Seven Dust record?
For the Seven Dust record.
After all the shit he's
so he
done?
did get a Grammy.
Yeah, he did, but he got it for
But not for his
production,
music.
not for his artistry.
But that's the
though,
thing.
not
It's
for his
just like,
music.
again, like how
Stevie
many
Nicks
of your
wasn't even
favorite bands
nominated.
have gotten a Grammy? Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like in the end of the day, like
Is it about how streaming they are?
I don't
Like,
know.
was
I don't-
it-
I don't know
who
like,
picks
like
it
is it like
behind
the
it.
songs playing
know.
on the radio this often? Like I'm not 100% sure. So it's like I was just looking at it, and then like I was looking at like the art. They're like
I'm pretty sure if you've got like a sold out world tour, you don't give a fuck about a Grammy, you know?
well, no,
It's nice.
No.
It's nice to get a trophy and put it on your on your stuff and put it on I'm this guy,
Yeah.
Grammy nominated or Grammy winning.
Well,
Whatever.
and you
But it's
probably
like,
can if you're on a label, you could
Yeah.
probably renegotiate your contract next time.
That's
well,
cool, but it's
didn't
just
win a
like
Grammy, you know?
But at the end of the day, as far as art goes or
Oh, yeah.
whatever, like all my favorite bands, whether it's like I don't know, Led Zeppelin, like even though they've
Like,
won.
when was the last time
they've
Tool won a
won them.
Grammy?
I think they actually did win a couple. It's just never like it's always later in the show to where it's like best
Yeah.
metal performance. Ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't televise the metalheads.
I'm curious about that. I'll look the.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's like
Was
some
like
of these, it's
Lateralis.
like like they set the pathway for genres or for something, and it's like, man, it's like really like that one got it. Yeah, that one.
I will say,
Like, that's how I feel on it.
They won best metal performance in 2020. They won best metal performance in 2002 with Schism.
Performance.
1998 best metal performance for Anima.
What about album?
Anima
Song,
was
like-
98.
Yeah.
That's
Holy
what it
shit.
says
Old.
here.
We're old.
Even though that album came out in like '96, though, right?
Did it? Oh
I
God.
think so, but
We're
for some
old.
reason, no, that's what Google's
I
coming
was
up.
7.
But they've got 3. They've got 3 winners right there.
Yeah, but no offense. But it's performances.
That's right.
Like, and that's
just
what
performances,
I'm
not
saying. Is like I'm
recorded
thinking
material.
of like album songs,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
best
yeah.
original, right? Like anything, and it's like I'm looking at it and,
And
I'm
they
like,
put a lot into those
man.
albums. Like, well, I would hope so after how many years between albums. Like,
I will
who
say-
who else does that?
I was surprised that Kanye didn't win Best Album of the Year.
Fucking Kanye. Have you seen the
Yeah,
Netflix?
Yee. His name's Yee.
Have you seen
Is
the
it
Netflix
Yee or
documentary
Yay?
yet?
No.
Yee.
Yay!
Yee.
Crazy.
It's insane.
He finally went in to get help. Apparently.
Did he
Yay.
really?
He needs
Yeah.
to, yeah.
So, Donda. So, album of the year. So, We Are with John.
Baptiste.
Baptiste.
Thank you.
Jean Baptiste.
Thank you. Ariana Grande. I'm sorry, man.
Thank you. Next.
Chris Brown, Back in My Mind. Billie Eilish, I would have at least been happy with her because, man,
She's
that
doing her
girl's
thing.
talented.
Yeah,
She's doing a good
she
thing.
is.
That girl's talented.
Who else? Who
I don't
else?
care. Donne,
shouldn't
Taylor
listen to
Swift.
Okay.
Again, Justin Bieber.
Babe.
He's good. I know he.
Nas X.
Oh no. I mean, no
And
offense,
Lady
but
Gaga. Those
I would
are-
go with her.
those-
I'd go with her.
Those are our nominations for Best Album of the Year. And it's
There's
like,
gotta
I
be
can-
something better.
Stevie Nicks put out an album last year. Where's her? Dolly Parton just put a new one out. Where's she at?
I mean, Thank You Scientist had a new record. I thought it was pretty great.
I mean,
Dolly Parton-
The Weeknd put
Dolly
a new.
Parton.
I liked The Weeknd's album last year. I thought it was good. Or maybe it would have been released the beginning of this year. But
Fuck, even the
still,
Foo
it was-
Fighters record that came out, Medicine at Midnight, was fucking great.
Well, did
It got a Grammy.
Did it? Oh, okay.
Rock album.
but
Yeah.
not album.
It's one thing.
It got
Did it win?
Rock Album of the Year.
I thought it
Medicine at
was
Midnight.
fantastic, man.
I mean, pop duo group performance. Doja Cat won.
By the
Beat
way-
out Justin Bieber, Coldplay, Lady Gaga, and that Kanye, Korean band BTS. I've never heard.
BTS.
I've literally never heard a
They're
song
huge.
by
Oh,
them.
They're so big.
They're gigantic.
They're
New
gigantic.
artist, Olivia Rodrigo beat Japanese Breakfast. I don't even know who any of these other ones. Glass Animals.
I don't know Glass Animals.
You don't know Glass Animals?
In the words
No,
of Eddie
you
Vedder,
got- you need to
I'm
be
not sure
careful,
what this
though.
means. I don't know if it means anything.
Well, wait. Let's move a little bit here. Let's
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about.
yeah.
So we God, I could talk to you guys forever. This is fucking phenomenal.
Oh, by the way, Dolly Parton turned down induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of
saw
Fame.
that. They
wouldn't let her.
Because she's never put out a rock and roll album.
That's
Well,
true.
yeah,
Which is-
She turned it
she
down.
said she didn't feel like she belonged in there, so
Yeah.
she withdrew it, and I was like,
Which is-
that's kind of cool.
kind of more rock and roll than the last
It's so-
38
it's so
people that were in
punk rock,
Dark. You know,
man.
yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's just ABBA's on there.
Oh, I love
fucking
ABBA.
app.
Beat ABBA. Like, I'm just like, ugh.
But
Shout out to Tyler, the creator, though. I will say that for rap album.
I like Tyler,
I'll
the
say
creator.
that. I like him. He's very original.
He's great in Jackass Forever.
so
He's very funny.
going forward,
And he's
we've
gay.
got a little thing planned coming up at Scruffy City Hall. And Brandon, Brandon, you were the first person to mention. Okay, so when I heard about Taylor Hawkins, I was just like, first off, I was in disbelief. I was just like, wait a second, this can't be real. Like, we just all went and saw that movie. Like,
I haven't seen it yet.
dude, I really liked it.
Is it good?
It's a little long.
Pearl Jam High Five.
It's a
I thought
little
we were gonna
long,
watch
but
it
it's
together.
funny. And it's the parts that are funny are actually funny.
Yeah.
And then some of it drags on a little bit. Like it could have been a little short, could have been 30 minutes shorter.
And the music could have been more
Fair.
pronounced.
Yeah, the music seemed
Sounded
like
like it was coming through a hi-fi. or
that
a
might have been the
lo-fi system.
theater we saw. It seemed like the music parts got real quiet.
It's a little strange.
But it's definitely worth. If you're in a band, if you've ever played in a band, it's definitely worth getting because there's a lot of funny stuff. And Grohl's really funny in it. And it's corny, and it's kind of like Shaun of the Dead. It's kind of like a cross between Shaun of the Dead and Spinal Tap.
I love it.
Kind
I
of.
love both.
So like
I watched Spinal Tap with my dad.
Spinal Tap's fantastic.
God.
But like
Oh, we don't touch that one.
well, like we had
Don't
just
look at
done
it.
all that stuff, and then they were just like, "Did you hear?" Like I remember I was sitting at home, and I got a text from Shauna, shout out our bro, and she goes, "Dude, did you hear about Taylor Hawkins?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then the minute I read it, I was just like, "Oh, I don't want to open Google. I don't want to know this. This doesn't sound good." Like, did he get caught doing something? And like I opened it up, and sure enough, I was like, "Oh, this fucking can't be. This can't be." Like
Yeah.
not that guy. Like that guy was so fucking cool. Please no. And I thought about you, and then but I didn't really do anything. Like I didn't post anything. I was just kind of like, I don't really know how to process this. So I kind of just laid back, and then we ran into each other, and I was like, dude, what about it? And you were the first person who goes like, so talk to us about how this whole thing kind of came together.
Well, I was winding down for the evening. I guess I'm not sure what night it was. It was Friday or Saturday night, I guess.
I think Boogie Nights was playing, like, because I think it was a Friday or Saturday. Yeah, I found out like on set break. I was like, oh,
yeah,
that sucks.
And I guess it was Phil or Mickey. So we play in a tribute band called Stacked Actors, and it's me, Andy Campbell, Mickey Magnum, which is Mike Gentry, but Mickey Magnum.
That's his amp right there.
Yes,
that's his old amp.
That's a Windsor. That's a Magnum.
That's the
Windsor.
Magnum. Yeah,
yes,
the Mississippi Marshall.
Mississippi Marshall.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Magnum Marshall, and then a fantastic musician by the name of Phil Sandifer. And,
From Bean Station.
The man.
What a sweet guy.
He told me one time, he said, buddy, I sound like fried okra.
Yeah.
And I'm telling
he
you.
Sure does. Oh my God.
Dude,
I'm going to Los Angeles with him in June, and I can't wait to see how people respond to him out
gonna be
there,
amazing.
because he is the most country guy I've ever met in my life.
Fucking love it,
but
man.
he oozes rock and roll, though.
Yeah, hell yeah,
he's he's a rock and roll tractor. I don't know what he's John Deere and he's Von Dutch. I don't know how the fuck. I don't know.
Great hang.
Yes, dude, he's amazing. So, one of the two of them, either Phil or Mickey, sent a thing, and it was about Taylor. And of course, we're all just in the thread talking to each other, be like, "Oh my gosh, dude! Like this is fucking terrible."
Yeah.
So a couple of days goes by, and Phil, we didn't want to, play.
Nobody wanted to appear that they were Catholic.
It's one of those, yeah.
and-
Nobody even brought it up. It was kind of like, let's wait.
and because we're due for a show. I mean, I guess we play like once every 3 to 6 months or something like that. And
Yeah, it's sparse, but
yeah, it's very.
And as a
sparse.
musician, that's how you empathize. That's how you fucking share things like that. Like that, you know what I mean? Like if somebody who's a hero of yours dies, the next time, like for me, the next time I pick up a guitar, it's different.
Yeah.
Like there's a reverence on. I remember when Prince died, and like I was wrecked for a couple days, and then I when I went back, I changed the fucking the light on my amp to be purple.
Yeah.
Because every time I turned it on, I wanted to see that, to remember, like, don't fucking phone it in, man. Like,
Yeah, and I don't know what it is. Like when I found out Taylor died, for some reason I wanted to paint my band room. Like I was just like, I got to change the feel in the practice space, And so anyway, Phil he hit us up about 3 or 4 days after Taylor passed, and he was like, "Boys, I think we need to play a show."
and kudos for if you're listening, kudos to you, man. Like, somebody needed to do it, and like I definitely didn't have the balls to like go, hey, we should do a show, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But when you're a musician, you want to make a loud noise when something big happens like this.
Absolutely. And the thing is that with Taylor passing, and Phil nailed it. He's like, we should play a show. And one of us was like, and it should all go to charity. And it's like, absolutely. So it'd be a celebration of Taylor, because we go out, we play these songs relatively well, I would think.
I think you guys are fucking phenomenal. Like, I'll go.
We do a good job.
I'll say it.
We
You're
learn the
phenomenal.
parts.
We learn the parts. Yeah.
Learn the parts, play them.
Yep. It's like, oh, that's what that sounds like. And then we play it back how it sounds, like people do. And so we're going to donate everything to charity. And we're not sure where we want to go with it yet. Phil and I were talking about maybe something like either Boys and Girls Club in Knoxville or the School of Rock. Maybe donate money there so they can buy instruments, or Children's Hospital.
Very nice.
So, but nothing super political, nothing religiously backed or anything, and nothing too on the nose like a
Drug rehab or anything like that. I thought that would be in bad
I think
taste.
doing
Very
it
bad.
like
I agree.
School of Rock's like a really good
School
one.
of Rock has a nice ring to
Boys
it.
and Girls Club. I
Yeah.
mean, they need. I mean,
Isn't
they
there,
need it.
Yeah, there's or like a anything to do with like music, I think, or
give the
just,
gift
like,
of
getting
music out
yeah.
of tragedy, that kind of thing. And like
Exactly.
the
That's
day,
awesome.
it was
That's
either
really cool.
the day before or the day that Taylor died. He met with a girl in Bogota who was an aspiring drummer. She was like 6 or 7 years old, and he met up with her. and just did that kind of like, it wasn't make a wish, but it was that kind of like, oh, meet your hero kind of thing. And Taylor gave her time, and
that was the day of.
It's either the day of or the day before.
Man,
so
he died in Colombia.
Yeah, he died in Bogota, Colombia. So obviously,
right before their show.
Yeah.
Their festival they were doing.
Yeah, I think they announced it like 15 minutes before.
And so the whole stage they didn't play, was
awful.
just a candlelight service to him.
It's
it was
amazing.
sad, yeah.
Yeah, all the fans that had tickets instead just showed up at the hotel with candles, and there was like a big vigil. It was touching.
I got the
No,
plan.
they went the whole stage. Like they went to like where the show was going to be, and just on the stage they just put all the candles. Everyone just had a that's what they did. Like it was just.
I got to play in Colombia a couple years ago, and just those people are just.
I bet it's incredible.
Oh, they're beautiful people. And
Well,
everything's up.
Talking again about Cotson, all his concert videos are Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Yeah,
because he's so
South
big.
America.
Yeah.
And people down there pine for music.
Yeah.
They have cool music down there already, but it's like, just like all over the world, it's like American music, and or just like
rock and roll, man.
Yeah, it's like, and if you ever seen like Rock in Rio or any of those videos, like from
Big Day Out.
I don't know when they started doing that,
Yeah.
but it looks like the biggest event of all time every year.
And they know every word
Yeah.
to every song. Like they know it all. Like they're like right in with it.
Fuck, man.
So with the show and the charity that we're going to send all the proceeds to, we're also asking our friends if they want to come up and partake in the love of Foo Fighters with us.
Oh, I'm blown away.
So
I'm blown away by that too. Like just to see some of the people. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we reached out to a few people. Unfortunately, we're not going to mention who they are, but they're unable to attend. There's some people that we reached out to that were impacted personally. By Taylor's passing. So we're going to have, I think, you for sure.
Whatever,
Mr. Spencer McCoy is going to sit in for Monkey Wrench.
You guys are playing too.
Burn the City.
Burn the City. They just released an album as well.
Thank you for saying that. We did. We did. We recorded it right here in this room. We nearly killed each other.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. The DIY route is rough, dude. It's rough. I remember back in the day, we used to record at Wirex all the time.
Oh,
it was so easy, and he's so funny.
Was it the old place or the...
Both.
Oh,
we
wow.
recorded at I was in a band called Still Life Opera, and we recorded at his place. We recorded at his place in the Colonies, in his condo. And he had the mixer upstairs, and the fucking all the cords went up the chimney to the upper room. Yeah, and then we recorded.
I never went there. I was
amazing.
just ever since I started going over there. It's been.
He's so funny, dude. Wyrick is so funny. I've known him a long time. And and then he went out there on North Shore, and it was just like, oh, Jesus Christ. So we've done a few things with Wyrick, but it's so easy with a guy like that. And then when you just allow, we're gonna run it through ourselves. Jesus Christ, it's a nightmare. I mean, it's fun too. The process is fun, but it's Jesus.
Well, and if you want to talk about heroes like Taylor Hawkins being a hero, since I was 16 years old, I've known Spencer McCoy.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. So since I was
I
16.
thought he said 6. I was like, good God.
Dad?
He was a cute boy.
Were y'all seeing
There
him?
he is.
Finally. So, no, since I was 16, I've known Spencer. And Spencer was the first person, as I was trying to figure out who I wanted to be as a musician, he was the first person that I ever met that played music in Knoxville.
Fuck.
And so he was already, when I was 16, I was just right in the middle of high school, sophomore year. We were working together.
God, you're an old sophomore.
16? What is it?
I was a junior.
Was you a junior?
Well,
Yeah.
we're not.
I was always
I
older
am
than
an old
everybody.
sophomore,
My parents said, you need to hang
Yeah,
back.
I turned to 8.
They pushed me forward. I would graduate when I was 17.
We're not all a genius like you, Grace. Jesus.
God.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm just
Fucking Libra,
I'm just
bro.
a part. I'm a
I was
Gemini.
18 when I graduated.
So was I.
I'm an air sign.
So anyway, Grace. So Spencer, he was always somebody that I looked up to. Over the years, we've had a few chances to get to play together in separate bands. But, now that we're getting to play on the same stage together and rock out, this is it's one of those dream come true type moments.
I agree.
Don't cry,
So-
Spence.
I'm not.
the one that's
Don't
I'm
cry.
fine. I'm fine.
You okay?
I'm okay. I'm fine.
I'll give you a
This
hug.
man
I
is
give good hugs.
I'm fine.
You ask any musician in Knoxville that's
That-
worth their salt who Spencer McCoy is.
That's a
and they'll say, "I know that motherfucker."
That's a
I
lot
will
of pressure.
say, since
That's a lot of
I've
pressure.
Yeah.
since I've known you, which really hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, it's like 7 months.
Yeah.
7 months now. And people that know you, that know that I know you, I've never heard one bad thing. Everyone's like, man, that dude
You are
the
scoring
shit.
a lot
That
of
guy
points with
fucked
me
my
right
sister, man.
I haven't
Fuck
heard a
that
lot
guy.
of shit talk either, honestly.
I know. Like everyone is like that man. Like
No.
you. There's just dude, you rock.
And I haven't heard
That's very
anyone who
nice.
That's all
said
that- I have
the
nothing else
new
to
look
say,
too. Everyone's like,
Oh,
man,
yeah, thank
by
you.
the way, Spencer looks fucking badass.
Yeah, I'm digging
Ben
that.
Eller saw you, and he was just like, I wouldn't have known if you like. I wouldn't have known that was
Shout
him.
out
I
to
just
Ben.
thought that was.
I was talking to Ben at your show.
Are you
in
getting
fact,
a lot
at
of
the
pussy?
at the last Stacked Actor show?
Are you
I'm a
getting-
gentleman. Thank you.
Are you?
Listen, so of course not.
Daddy is what
But,
he
uh,
is. That's
like,
Spencer, that's daddy.
At the last Stacked Actor show, I was talking to Ben
Daddy.
Eller. Ben Eller said, he goes, you look so different that if you were to kill somebody and then go back to the way you look, you'd get away with it.
I think that's what he told me. Yeah.
Woo! That's like a compliment almost. I would love for somebody to tell me that.
I feel lucky anytime Ben Eller says funny things in front of me. I love Ben Eller's
God,
sense of
he's
humor.
so fun. Have you seen his new
Oh, yeah.
Meshuggah
Oh,
video?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
His Meshuggah video is
Hot off the heels of things
Really
Gojira
fun.
does. If you haven't, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen Ben Eller's video, Stuff Meshuggah Does,
when he's talking about the beets, and he's putting beets,
actual beet, like the vegetable on this, like this
God.
one has 4 beets, and 4 beets appear on this, like beets, like you put in a salad.
They're so gross.
Ben Eller's-
There's no way to
Eller's
cook a good
incredible.
beet.
Ben Eller's fucking
Or a
incredible.
I think
radish.
a pickled beet's okay.
That's
but
okay. Who are you?
I love pickles,
Dude,
So-
when-
I like pickles too.
At
but
your show, all you guys were
I'm
playing
Doug
through.
as fuck, man. I love beats.
You guys were all playing through rat
You
pedals.
are a beet.
And Ben and I were standing there. I go, man, there's a lot of.
downbeat.
I go, there's a lot of rats on that stage. He goes, damn, somebody should call OSHA. Phenomenal, dude. Phenomenal. But so anyway, getting back on track. So Phil Sandifer,
Yeah.
we should do a thing, and you happen to be in the greatest Foo Fighters tribute band the world has ever seen already.
At least the only one in East Tennessee.
I'll fucking say it, the best one ever.
So thank you.
And so then you guys put it together.
Yeah, we started putting it together. We all make sure that it took a second to figure out what dates that we could do. We reached out to Scruffy City, and they gave us 3 dates that were an option. And then after looking at all of our schedules, we only had 1 day. So we had 3 weeks. We found out last Saturday when we were going to do everything, and now we have until the 16th, which
When is
is
it?
3 weeks. Is the 16th,
And
What
it's the
time?
day before
April
Easter.
16th. It is the day before
Day
Easter.
before Easter. That's easy to remember.
So we'll all be drinking Rolling Rock that night.
and you're.
So what time did your band go on?
I think we start at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
And that's a hot 9. That's like a count. That's a snare down beat at 9. Doors at 8. Doors like at 5 or whatever. But like
Pyro at 9.
Brandon Hudson will be in charge of Pyro.
My family will be in Disney World, so I'll be celebrating Jesus's resurrection later in the day on Sunday. So
We'll
I'll
be
good.
celebrating Taylor Hawkins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So please.
Jesus' day is the next day.
That's right.
He
No,
gets
I'm just
Sunday.
saying. So like, we're
Trick
good.
question. Taylor Hawkins is Jesus.
Hey, that's blasphemy. Just kidding.
That's an Airheads joke.
Depends. Have you seen it?
I mean, they both got long hair.
That's fact. But yes. So
Good question, asshole. Let me
please fucking come out. You guys, your annoying ass family is going to be in town. You need to get away from a couple hours. You want to do something great. You want to do a charitable thing. You want to pay homage to the great Taylor Hawkins.
You want to rock out. That's what it is. You want to come and rock out.
That's a
on
fact.
April 16th.
Oh, and it's
Show starts at 9. Doors are open all the time.
Yeah, come early. Get wild
come on.
early.
And it sounds so good and scruffy, man. Like we usually play Press Pub.
It's a good one.
because we love playing for the Foo Fighters shit is rowdy crowd. You
It
know,
is.
like
It is.
Yeah,
let's
the
fucking-
last time was like moshing and
Dude, there was
like
moshing. Like I got
Mickey
hit
jumped
in-
on stage and
Yeah, but usually do it at the pub. We're doing it at Scruffy, and it's gonna be awesome.
It is gonna
sonically, it's gonna be amazing. We've got amazing players. Aside from just us, like you're gonna play with us. Our buddy Chris Killingsworth's gonna play with us. Maybe Matt Sharon might show up.
And maybe others. Who knows?
Hunter is going to sing "My Hero"
Yes.
with us.
Yes.
Oh,
So
awesome.
Go
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
You know what? Show up to find out. Show up to find out all the special guests.
I was really hoping that like for the A-Wood show, like last week we had been working on a instrumental version of Everlong. This had been before
he and Ben did that thing.
Before Taylor passed. Like we were working on this for the show, and then it happened like a week before we played that show. So it was really heavy when we played it. Right. It was cool, and I was hoping that Ben was going to be in town. It's like maybe when we do Everlong twice, like maybe one, like me, Ben, and Andy could get up and do the instrumental version. Then we could do the.
And I want to do a shout out for that.
But Ben's going to be in Mexico. Like, yeah,
way to go, Ben.
Yeah, he's got to go visit his sister-in-law down there. She lives down there.
Drop it. You know?
If you haven't seen the video, Andy Wood and Ben Eller did a phenomenal tribute video for Taylor Hawkins, where they played a very kind of a and when I say somber, I don't mean that in like a. I don't mean boring.
It was elegant.
It was extremely
beautiful.
Yes, it was very amazing version of Everlong, and it's kind of like slow, and it's just absolutely gorgeous.
It's kind of like what we arranged too. I mean, I think they even broke it down even more before that. But it's like, you know, the other version has drums, and it rises and falls and rises. It's really fun to play, and then all that happened, and it was just like, oh, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I was hoping we were going to get to do that too, but like I said, the dude's out of town. I was like, well,
stay busy as a bee, man.
Yeah.
I got a story real quick.
All right, let's hear
Okay,
it.
so you've got your Taylor Hawkins story. I have a full Foo Fighter band story that includes another celebrity and a twist in it about psychotic medication.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so
I like where this is going.
I'm not going to name the guy, but I have a buddy of mine who invited me a couple of years ago to go to Atlanta to see Foo Fighters play. And he follows Foo Fighters around anytime they're on the East Coast, and he always goes to a Four Seasons because Foo Fighters always stay at a Four Seasons for whatever reason. So he's like, hey, man, you want to go watch Foo Fighters? And I'm like, I don't really want to go to Atlanta. I've already seen them. I know it's 3.5 hours. Yeah, we're staying at the Four Seasons. There's a chance that we'll be able to like hang out with them. And I was like, well, if that's a story to tell the grandkids, so yeah, dude, we'll go. So we make our way down to Atlanta. We get to the Four Seasons, and there's the tour bus sitting out front. And there's a line of people down the sidewalk. So we get out of the car, and I guess he hands whatever registration slip, because you can't get through the door unless you have access to it at the Four Seasons, I guess just for this specific time frame.
Yeah.
So we go inside, and there's the band sitting in the lobby.
Not hiding or anything, just hanging.
Not hiding, just sitting right there, just like on the fucking bench. Like Taylor's got his drumsticks in his hand. Dave's got his hands in his pockets, just kind of walking around. Pat, he's wondering when his next cigarette's going to be. Like that, he's just sitting there. And he makes a beeline for the band. We don't even check in yet. Makes a beeline for the band. And a dude the size and stature of Warren Sapp in a black outfit turns around and said, no, motherfucker. And he turns around and he was like, and he's like, I said, no, step. And so he comes back to me and I was like, dude, you're going to get our ass whipped before we even get into a room. And he's like, oh, we'll be okay. He's like, let's go check in. So he goes to check in. And when we get it was right before we got our key card, the band starts leaving. And so he abandons the registration desk, runs out the front door, and he's like, Brandon, you got to come with. Come on, dude. Come on. Come fuck on, dude. I'm like, oh, my God, this guy's... So I follow him out, and he tosses me his phone. And he was like, take a picture. And I'm like, of what? Well, Dave Grohl is signing, I guess when he was still signing autographs, he was signing some stuff for people on the sidewalk, and he was going back to his bus. And my friend bum rushes Dave Grohl and is like, Dave, can I get a picture? And Dave turns around and I've got it in my hand. And I'm like, hey, what's up, Dave? And he's like, oh, hey, man. And I took the picture. And then that was it. Okay, so that's all the interaction I had on this trip with Foo Fighters. We go back into the lobby, and his brother meets us there. And so we're sitting in the lobby, and he's freaking out. He's like really ramped up, and he's like, oh my gosh, dude, I've never seen him this excited before.
This is your friend's brother.
This is my friend's brother.
Yeah.
No, my friend is the one who's amped up. My friend's brother meets us in the lobby.
Okay.
We have a handle of Jack Daniels sitting between us. We're waiting for our room to be cleaned.
The bedrock of all good decisions.
Oh, dude, we're about to go hard. And so we're waiting for, the room to be cleaned, and our friend is just walking around like, oh, he's kind of kid in a candy store. A guy walks through the door And when he walks through the door, my friend turns around and he looks at me, and I look at the guy that come through the door. And I was like, oh, shit. And he goes, mouths to me. He's like, is that Mel Gibson? And I was like, yeah, dude, that's Mel Gibson. You know, just like back and forth for 100 feet between us. Like, yeah, that's Mel Gibson. So Mel Gibson comes walking between us.
It was really Mel Gibson?
It was Mel fucking Gibson walks into the lobby of the Four Seasons in Atlanta. And my friend bum rushes fucking Mel Gibson. And he's like, Mel Gibson, can I get an autograph? And Mel Gibson don't even turn around. He just throws his hands in the air. Like, you know, like shoe fly, that kind of thing. But he goes, fuck off! And walks to the elevator and goes to his penthouse. And my buddy he turns around, smiling. And he's like, Mel Gibson just told me to fuck off.
I would have had probably the exact. I would have been like, fuck, man.
That's awesome.
So him being all this ramped up, we're on our way to the Foo Fighters show a couple hours later. We finish half the handle at Jack Daniels, and he's in the back seat of the Uber. And he's chatty, and he's bop, 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 bop. And his brother is like, dude, you've never been this chatty. Like, what the fuck is going on? He's like, I haven't taken my medication in like 3 or 4 days.
Uh-oh.
And I'm ramped up and ready to go. And his brother looked at me, he's like, dude, he fucking takes lithium for bipolarism.
Oh, no. That's a dangerous...
Dude, okay, so he loses his fucking mind while we're there. And it ended up turning...
Like literally?
Like literally.
Oh, shit.
So, like, we didn't get back to the hotel room until like 2 a.m. And the show ended at 11. And, dude, it was just... But Mel Gibson telling him to go fuck himself... I was like, that's
I was going to say, if this doesn't at least involve him getting his ass beat by Dave Grohl and Mel Gibson, I'm going to ask for
or Warren Sapp.
Or Warren Sapp.
God, dude, that guy was scary. So, but yeah, no, that was the Four Seasons Atlanta trip. So,
fuck, man, that's crazy.
Take your pills, kids.
Yeah, please do. There's nothing wrong with having mental health problems. Talk to your friends, get help.
Normalize mental health.
Absolutely.
You know, guys are just as crazy as us females, if not more. You know, so
Hashtag Will Smith.
get with your friends, get with your people, take your meds. I mean, damn, I'm on 4 medications by themselves. 2 are just for anxiety.
Listen, gang, we're all going through it. Do what you got to do. Be good to yourselves. Keep well.
Yeah.
So, okay, we are kind of getting near the end here. Mm-hmm. I could do this all fucking day with you guys. It's phenomenal.
He's always trying to rush me off. I'm just kidding.
Shut up, Grace. Grace, I have to say, I am very impressed with like all of you brought out some deep musical fucking knowledge. Like
I had some other shit. I was just trying to go off the vibe, whatever we're feeling, you know.
We're reading notes or anything.
I did it. No, I'm just here.
She's a fucking pro, man.
Just do it, man. Yep. I got all sorts of shit up my sleeve. People look at me and they're like, oh, look at that girl from East Tennessee. She don't know shit. Bitch, I went to Cedar Bluff.
Go Giants.
Go Giants.
Go Giants.
Well, definitely come and watch Andy Campbell carry us through a significant amount of
Foo Fighters
heavy
song.
music.
Yeah, April 16th. April 16th. Scruffy.
Day
Do y'all
before
know,
Easter.
do you know how
Andy
much
Campbell
it is?
show.
Y'all know what the price for a door?
This is the Andy Campbell show.
Do they know what cover's going to be?
Oh, I never know that answer.
$5 at the door.
Okay, good.
After 7 p.m. Free until 7 p.m.
Hey.
But it's not going to us. It's going to a good cause. So feel good about yourself.
And I believe, didn't you say there will also be a donation opportunity?
There will be a donation box at the front of the stage. It's not a tip jar. It is a donation box. It will say what charity we're going to be donating to. So if
I guess we'll be doing this.
It's not tips for tits. It's donations.
Are you having a stroke? What are you doing?
That's hard to say. Tips for tits.
I didn't take my medication today.
Tips.
Amen.
Fuck off.
No, so but they'll be able to donate more.
This will be donated in Taylor's name. I'm assuming.
Whatever we raise on Saturday the 16th, we will donate it in Taylor Hawkins' name to either the Boys and Girls Club of Knoxville, the School of Rock, or the Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
I would assume.
I just have to clap because
Something
I mean
good.
it's just
Something good.
It's just something's going to come out of that.
None of us are buying Bentleys off this show.
Yeah, indeed.
We're not buying Camrys either.
So there's
I
a
ain't
lot
buying candles off of this show.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things.
When we play that show, it'll be something. But where we can buy Bentleys. but that's
Indeed.
not this one.
So, dude, please, if you're listening to this, if you're going to be in town, if you don't have other plans, or even if you don't have other plans that maybe aren't that, cancel them, maybe reschedule them. This is going to be a really special night, man. I promise it really, really is. You got to come out and check this out. And I always do this every time Stacked Actors plays anyway. I tell everybody, like, you don't understand what you're missing. And now it's for a super good cause. You absolutely got to be there. And even my fucking band is going to show up and try to
Burn
do something.
the city!
So please come out. But there'll also either be a ton of camaraderie. I mean, I just know. I know the people that are going to come to this. I know the crowd. And it's going to be a phenomenal atmosphere. It's going to be for a good cause. This is just a win-win for everybody. So please come out. This is going to be a big one. And it's all going to go to a good cause, all in your honor, as you would say,
In your
to Taylor
honor.
Hawkins. And we just, dude, thank you guys so much for fucking being here, man. Please come back.
having us.
Dude, come back anytime. Let's talk
Appreciate you,
music
man.
again. Let's go on and on and on. I was like, man, I hope Grace doesn't get bored. And you turned into like a music professor on
There you
us.
go.
I mean, my
Yeah.
daddy is John Steele.
There you go. Yeah.
That's what it does.
You know, it was amazing. I grew up in this like life that, music. My mom used to sing, down at all the jazz clubs. I mean, that was my mom.
Grace has a musical pedigree. Fuck.
I do.
I mean,
I do.
John's amazing. Like he's just
Yeah, my dad's- he
he's a
rocks it.
shredder.
My dad can slap that bass. Like my dad is sick in what he does. Like he really
Slap
is.
the bass.
Slap the bass. And he's literally sick at what he does, and he plays multiple instruments.
No shit. Well, so I think we should probably go ahead and wrap up before Grace makes it any clearer how much cooler she is than the rest of us here. But dude, Andy Campbell, thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Hey, well, thanks for having me.
It's been a minute coming.
Hey.
Please, you have an open invitation to come back anytime, even if you just go like, fuck, I got some musical
Man,
shit I want to talk
ask me
about.
anytime. I'll do it.
You got it, man.
Yeah.
You got it. And fucking Hudson, my brother from another mother.
I love you.
I love you.
My brother from another motherfucker.
I love you. Always have.
Always have. Good to see you, mate.
And fucking Grace, say bye to the audience. Tell them where they're going to be day before Easter.
Scruffy City, April 16th, $5 at 7 p.m. doors. First band goes on 9.
That's us. So please come out. We hope to see all you guys there. And also, if you see us there, please come up and say, hey, if you have a story about Taylor Hawkins, please come up and share it with us. Or if you see this on YouTube or wherever, put it in the comments. Like, we really want this to be about that thing. And I think it's going to be an incredible night. But please come out and hang out with us. And
Remember the artist.
Remember the artist. Remember the artist. And not the hype, not all the whatever. Just remember the artist. Remember all the inspiration. So this is Beacon House signing off. We'll catch you guys next time. And hopefully we see you at Scruffy on April 16th.
Wu-Tang!
Wu-Tang. I saw Hudson. He was doing like an acoustic gig one time, and he goes, there's a song about love. Wu-Tang. That's right.